Meeting of the Board of Supervisors for the University of Louisiana System is now called to order. Carol, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Barry Busada.
Here.
Mr. Steve Davison.
Here.
Mr. Ron Hogan.
Here.
Mr. Lee Jackson.
Here.
Ms. Emily Lampkin.
Here.
Dr. Joe Leatherman. Mr. Keith Myers.
Here.
Mr. Al,
Here.
Mr. Davis. Ms. Elizabeth Pierre. Mr. Mark Romero.
Here.
Ms. Christine Russell.
Here.
Mr. Robert Salim.
Here.
Mr. Brad Stevens.
Here.
Ms. Julie Stokes. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Carol. As we begin our meeting today, could we please observe a moment of silence for our dear friend and colleague, Dr. John Noble, who is no longer with us. John Noble was a dear friend, trusted ally, devoted servant to higher education in this state, and he will absolutely be missed. So if we could at this time, observe a moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, I've invited Brother Rodney Wood to lead us in our invocation, and Supervisor Emily Lampkin will lead us in our pledge.
Would all be pleased, join me as we come before our Lord. Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Father, simply saying that your wonderful triune name helps us to separate ourselves from distracting thoughts and to focus ourselves on you, who are always focused on us. We thank you, Lord, for this gathering of men and women who have dedicated their lives to the formation of the minds and the guidance of desires of the young people of our state. We do ask, Lord, that you would help each one who is here to maintain the constant awareness of your presence and of your guiding hand. We pray that this discussion that will take place today will be highly profitable for all of our students, our faculty, our leadership of our universities. We do thank you in closing for those who have been a part of the Leadership and Management Institute, who have made their wonderful presentations here today. We thank you for Caprice Ayu and the leadership she gave to that institute. I ask everyone to join me in closing with our Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Thank you to both of you. Today marks the first meeting for our student member, Emily Lampkin, a senior at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, majoring in political science with a focus in hospitality management. She's very passionate about student involvement and campus advocacy, and her leadership at this level will certainly pronounce her impact. She joined SGA because she wanted to create meaningful impact on campus. She was elected by her peers to serve on the Student Advisory Council and to serve on this board for this year. Welcome, Emily. Would you like to say a few things? Actually, if you would, approach the front of the dais, Supervisor Liz Pierre, a co-alum from the University of Louisiana Lafayette, will administer your oath today. Thank you, Supervisor Pierre. And congratulations, Emily. We look forward to a very productive and enjoyable year as we embark on your leadership for the students and throughout our system. At this time, would you like to make a few comments? Check your mic.
Hello, everybody. I hear this is a lot of people, so that's awesome. I'm very excited to work with everybody up here, but also all of you. I see a lot of UL staff, and that makes me feel really amazing, and I'm excited to see what this year has in store. Thank y'all.
Thank you. And congratulations again. As mentioned a little earlier, we lost our friend, Supervisor John Noble, on June the 11th. He was a valued and respected member of our board, and we want to remember him by way of a board resolution. We prepared a resolution that embarks on many of the achievements that Dr. Noble has provided, but words can't say enough for all of us who had the opportunity to experience his involvement, dedication, and leadership, and how much he meant with his vision, I would say predominantly in the McNeese community, but just totally willingly throughout our system. He was always there when you called on him. He served on the Board of Regents as our representative and made many positive strides to assure that we were successful as a system. Without reading the extent of the resolution, I would ask that the board give me a motion and approval to extend this resolution to him. Have a commendation that was shared by the governor. Our governor recognizes the contributions that he made throughout his lifetime achievements in the area of medicine, and the extraordinary things he did as a civic leader and an academic educational pioneer to assure that we were successful at bringing opportunities for students to learn and grow and gain the successes that they all can gain throughout the state. So it's a very blessed moment to have a chance to share this with his family, and thank all of you for the support and the friendship that we've had with Dr. Noble. Today we'll meet as a committee. Actually, minutes from our meetings for April 23rd and May 19th have been provided. I trust that you've had an opportunity to review them, and I would ask if you have any questions at this time. Hearing none, you'd have a motion and a second for approval. Moved by Supervisor Pierre.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Stevens. Any questions, any comments from the public? All in favor? Motion carries. Supervisor Brad Stevens will address items under the Academic and Student Affairs Committee at this time. We'll be meeting as a committee of the whole.
All right, members, we have 7 action items on the Academic and Student Affairs Committee agenda. Dr. Janine O'Rourke, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, will provide the report. Dr. O'Rourke?
Yes, thank you, and good morning. I do believe you have a public comment card.
We do. It's on item F5.
Great, just wanted to make sure you had it, and we'll address that when we get to F, that item. So good morning, Supervisor Stevens, Chair Romero, President Gallo, and members of the board. We do have 7 items for your consideration this morning, and I'll walk you briefly through each, and of course, answer happily any questions you might have toward the end. Agenda items F1 through F3 pertain to Grambling State University. F1 is a request to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Louisiana Delta Community College located in Monroe, Louisiana. The proposed MOU will establish a seamless transfer pathway for LDCC students completing the Associate of Arts Louisiana transfer degree to enter into Grambling's Bachelor of Arts in Theater. F2 is a request to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Southern University at Shreveport. This proposed MOU will allow for a clear connection between SUSLA students that graduate with an Associate of Science or Associate of General Studies to better transition into Grambling's Bachelor of Science in Chemistry. F3, the final item for Grambling, is a request to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Southern University Law Center. The purpose of this proposed MOU is to establish the general parameters for establishing a 3+3 accelerated law program between the 2 historic HBCU institutions. Agenda item F4 is a request from Southeastern Louisiana University to enter into a consortium agreement with Rise Education, a leader in online program sharing beginning this fall. Through this proposed agreement, Rise will provide online courses in support of Southeastern's new concentrations in cybersecurity and applied artificial intelligence in order to expand the university's offerings in critical workforce areas. Agenda item F5, we do have public comment on that. Chair, well, I guess I'll call you Chair Stevens for today since our chair is absent. Would you like to announce and ask the individual to come up, please?
It's Ms. Annette Dradi, Executive Director, Louisiana Dental Association. I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Thank you for asking me to be here today. Again, I'm Annette Dradi. I'm Executive Director of the Louisiana Dental Association. I've worked for the LDA for 23 years. So I have seen a lot in the dental world, and my members are struggling. I have 1,900 dentists as members of the LDA, over 1,900 actually, and they are struggling in workforce. And the problem is there's not enough schools to educate the hygiene need in the state. The dental school graduates 75 dentists a year. At a minimum, we would need double that because each dentist needs 2 hygienists, full-time hygienists, at a minimum. And that is if everyone stays in the state and works in the state. A dental hygiene degree is an amazing degree. They can adjust their schedules. Many of them will work part-time, which is some of the problem because after COVID, a lot of them have gone part-time, which limits our numbers. We work together. The LSU School of Dentistry is very supportive of this program and has offered to collaborate with the UL system however necessary. I believe there's a need for ULM to collaborate also, and hopefully they will with this UL Lafayette program, because together we can actually solve this problem just within a few years if we can just get a few more dental hygienists into the system. And I have a dentist this morning. I get at least 1 call a week from a dentist extremely upset, extremely stressed because they've gone months without a dental hygienist. And one from Broussard this morning actually emailed me. He went 8 months without a dental hygienist. He needs 2 full-time. He went 8 months without 1. So he was having to clean teeth at night when necessary to get all the patients seen. And then he finally did find some, but he had to hire 3 part-time hygienists to make up for the 1 full-time that he could not find. And they're desperate. They are really desperate. These hygienists the hourly fee is amazing, for not having to actually put into any of the expenses of the practice. It really is a good field, and we would appreciate any assistance we can get there. I mean, any number. We were able to add a program to Alexandria a few years ago with 6, and you would swear that we had added 600. It was that much of an impact to the dental community. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Members, any questions for Ms. Strati? Supervisor Perkins?
Thank you for your presentation. Just curious, I know that Dr. Ramesh and them are pushing out quite a few. I think you have a 2-year program, and some of them are going to New Orleans for the dental hygienist, I guess, to complete it. Is the shortage a result, and maybe you covered it and I missed it, is the shortage a result of people moving into retirement, choosing a different career? Or what is?
A
do we-
big
have we
part of
pinpointed?
a big part of the issues after COVID, a lot of the hygienists didn't want to go back full time. And so, like I mentioned in the example, instead of 2 full-time hygienists, he had to hire 4. So that's been a major problem. The schools are at their, that they're at capacity because they are restricted based on the Council on Dental Accreditation. So LSU has a total of 44 with their 2 programs. I believe ULM has about 30, Southern has 12. So everybody is at capacity. So we have to have another program. That's where the need is.
So the shortage was just basically people, they were out of work for a little bit and just chose to go to another career.
Right.
Is that what-
The dentists tend to work longer in there because they own the practice and they tend to work longer. I know dentists who are 70 years old and still practicing, maybe even as an associate to whoever they sold their practice to, versus the hygienist. They're not the owner of the practice, so they just, when they're ready to quit, they retire. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Supervisor Rosado?
What is the pay now for a dental hygienist?
I looked that up this morning. Let's see, in Louisiana, this is a Louisiana specific number. The average is $47 per hour, which is equivalent to $98,000 per year for a full-time 40-hour-a-week hygienist. And entry-level hygienists earn about $33 an hour in Louisiana.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Board members?
Just a
Grab any
comment.
microphone, Mr. Salim. Can't imagine let the opportunity to comment pass you by.
If you, pardon me if I missed it, what is the proposed cost for this school?
You would have to ask UL about that. I'm the association. I'm the need.
Supervisor Salim, and we can certainly ask individuals from the campus to step forward. But in year 1, the cost to the institution will be at $207,000 and some change. The second year will be $450,000, and then the third and fourth year of program implementation will be $430,900, and that would be for basically hiring of the director, clinical specialist, and then of course some money for support personnel and for accreditation issues.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I do want to share that this initiative started over a year ago, and I see several individuals in the audience who are part of that. And I think even some coordination with LDH, who has an interest in seeing capacity in the dental offering throughout Louisiana. So it's good to see this materialize. I also recognize that we have a really extraordinary program up at ULM and hope to see good coordination and efficiencies gained as we expand our offering geographically. I do think that Dr. Castillo's team stands ready to be in support and certainly stands ready to provide partnership resources. This was an offering many years ago in the net. You probably recall LSU had an extension campus at ULL. It was an LSU program. They were basically renting space, and it was discontinued at a time when President Alexander made budget cuts. I do think it's important that our universities be in control of their curriculums, and I think this is a good step towards doing that. My hope is that you know, as I understand and recalling, the fall off of current hygienists is expected to continue, and continuing to bring additional graduates forward to fill those positions is almost kind of mission critical. But again, it's a useful program to support high-paying jobs that ultimately, I think our goal is to support Louisiana businesses and Louisianans alike in their healthcare needs. So thank you.
And the need is rural, it's urban, it's all through the state. This is not, exclusive to one area of the state. This is throughout the state. And I think it's amazing that the whole dental community, ULM, LDA, LSU, UL, Lafayette, I mean, we've all come together to work on this. So I think that's pretty amazing in of itself. So
Thank you, Ms. Riding.
thank you.
Thank you, Annette. You made my job so much easier today. Thank you for being here and for your support. And finishing out the agenda, we have items F6 and F7 that pertain to the University of New Orleans. F6 is a request to terminate the following degree programs due to low enrollment and degree completion: a Bachelor of Arts in International Studies, an MAT in Elementary Education, Special Education, Mild Moderate Disabilities, grades 1 through 5, and the same MAT, but grades 6 through 12. Teach-out plans have been established for impacted students, and the LSU system was involved in this decision-making process due to the upcoming transition of UNO to the LSU Management Board system. And the final item, F7, UNO is bringing forward their 2025-26 faculty promotions and tenure recommendations. Normally, the board considers all promotion and tenure recommendations for our member institutions at the August meeting. Because UNO is transitioning to the LSU system on July 1, this cycle is being presented earlier than usual so that we can ensure completion within the UL system. All promotions in rank and recommendations for tenure meet applicable institutional and system guidelines, and all have been vetted with the LSU system, keeping the transition in mind. Supervisor Stevens, that closes out the agenda for us today. I'm happy to answer any questions. And after you all make a motion, of course, this is a recommendation of staff. I would like a moment of personal privilege to address the board after that motion.
Sure. Members, does anybody need further clarification on the agenda items before us?
I'm just, Mr. President. Mr. President? Well, why are we making a decision dealing with UNO when they're going to the LSU system on July 1?
So there has been collaboration between us and LSU. This is something that they're supportive of, and I think there's also some facilities items that are later on. So these are items, and we do have representatives from UNO and who will continue on after the transition, but they are supportive of these actions.
It's a timing issue as well, Supervisor Salim, but they have been in the 2 academic affairs items heavily involved in both.
All right, members, if nobody needs further clarification, I'd like to recommend approval for items F1 through F7. Can I have a motion, please? Supervisor Russell?
Second.
All right, Supervisor Leatherman, I think, beat you to the punch, so she's going to have the second. Any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public? May I, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, motion's approved. The next item is athletics.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I would like to take a moment to publicly thank Dr. Daryl Kruger, who serves as provost for the University of New Orleans, understanding that this will be the last meeting that he will be joining us on behalf of the University of New Orleans as they prepare for the transition in the management board. Daryl has been a phenomenal individual to work with over the years, and so I would like to publicly thank him for his dedication to the students at the University of New Orleans. We're working with all of our chief academic officers across the system, and it's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish him the best of luck as well as the soon-to-be LSU New Orleans. So thank you for letting me speak for a few minutes.
You're welcome, and I'm sorry I forgot that you
That's
asked me
okay.
to recognize you to do that.
Thank you, Supervisor Stevens. Before we proceed to the next committee, just as a point of order, we're meeting as a committee of the whole. I would need a motion and a second to accomplish that at this time. Moved by Supervisor Pierre, second by Celine. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have our athletic committee. Chair Myers will address those items at this time.
Good morning. Before we begin,
our meeting, Dr. Clune has requested that item G4, a proposed contract with Mr. Devon Sadler, head men's basketball coach, be removed at this time for consideration. May I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Second. Moved by Ms. Perkins. Davidson second. Davidson second. Are there any questions, comments from the board? Any comments from the public? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. We have 6 action items on the athletic committee agenda. Mr. Bruce Genet, Executive Director of Facilities, Risk Management, and Athletics, will provide the report. Mr. Genet?
Thank you so much, Supervisor Myers. Campuses are requesting approval of the following consent items. G1 from Louisiana Tech, contract with assistant men's basketball coaches, Tyson Batiste, Winston Hines, Darshawn McClellan, and Kevin Gilderd Talberry. G2 is also from Louisiana Tech, proving contracts with assistant softball coaches, Maddie Green, Chelsea Cohen-Krabetsky, and Tyler Krabetsky. Item G3, Louisiana Tech, contract with assistant women's basketball coaches, Josh Ashley, Michaela Bailey, Olivia Grayson, Caleb Livingston, and Scott Storr. Item G5 is from Northwestern, requesting approval of contract with Alan Fry, who's the head women's basketball coach. Item G6 from Southeastern, requesting approval of a contract with Kyle Vager, Director of Sports Performance and Strength Coach. And finally, G7 from Southeastern, approval of contracts for associate and assistant basketball coaches with Reagan Bolton, Kiana Keys, Cody McCoy, Andrew Riley, and Ross Rick. And those are all the consent items, Supervisor Meyer. Staff recommends approval, and we do have our campuses here in the audience should you have any particular questions.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. If no one requires further clarification, I would like to recommend approval of items G1 to G3 and G5 to G7. May I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Moved by Supervisor Hogan. Second. Second by Supervisor Davidson. Are there any questions, comments from the board? Any comments from the public? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. Is there any other business to come before the committee at this time?
I don't have any items.
Thank you.
Supervisor Meyer.
The next item to be considered is audit.
Thank you, Supervisor Myers. At this time, Chair Busada will address items for the audit committee.
We have 1 discussion item and 3 consent items on the audit committee agenda today. Mr. Fernando Cordova will provide a brief overview.
Thank you, Supervisor Busada, and good morning, Chair Romero, President Gallo, and members of the board. I'll go through all the agenda items and then be happy to discuss or take any questions after the presentation. Item H1 is a discussion item. It is the University of Louisiana System Report on Internal and External Audit Activity for the period of April 3rd, 2026 to June 1st, 2026. The listing of internal and external reports completed by various auditors since the last audit committee meeting has been made available in Onboard. Also included in that audit summary are internal audits that are currently in progress and a follow-up timetable to ensure recommendations made in prior reports are implemented. This is a report only, and no action by the board is necessary. Items H2 through H4 are action items. Item H2 is the University of Louisiana System's request for approval of the University of Louisiana System Annual Internal Audit Plan for fiscal year 2026-2027. The plan was prepared in accordance with the Internal Audit Charter for the University of Louisiana system. The audit plans have been prepared by the University of Louisiana System Chief Audit Executive and internal audit staff, with input from the board, system staff, campus presidents, and other campus administrative personnel. The plan includes reviews of administrative, academic, information technology, and operational units of the board and the universities, as well as follow-ups to internal and external audit findings and recommendations. Item H3 is the University of Louisiana System's request for the approval of the revised University of Louisiana System Internal Audit Charter and the rescission of the individual internal audit charters for the system's universities. The charter has been modified to better align with the global internal audit standards issued by the Institute of Internal Auditors that were effective January 9th, 2025. The charter also reflects changes in the internal audit functions reporting structure. Accordingly, previously approved and issued campus level internal audit charters will no longer remain in effect. Item H4 is the University of Louisiana System's request for approval of the revised audit committee charter for the Board of Supervisors for the University of Louisiana System. The charter has been modified to also better align with the global internal audit standards issued by the Institute of Internal Auditors, and it also reflects changes in the internal audit functions reporting structure. Supervisor Brusada, that concludes the presentation.
There no required further clarification. The consent agenda items, may I have a motion and a second for approval of items H2 through H4? So moved by Mr. Jackson. You have a second?
Second.
Okay, you have a second. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Any comments from the public?
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I just want to thank Fernando for all of his work, as well as all of our presidents for their work in supporting the transition of the campus internal auditors to the system office. So as of July 1, all of our current campus internal auditors will become employees of the system, and that direct reporting structure changes to our board and to the audit committee versus to the president. So again, it's been a Herculean lift. Also want to thank our HR support group through Division of Administration and our internal staff, everyone working together to facilitate this transition. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Supervisor Stokes in her absence for her work as well.
Are there any comments from the public? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Any other business?
None at this time.
Not at this time, okay, thank you. That concludes the business of the audit committee. The next items to be considered are facilities planning.
Thank you, Supervisor Basada. At this time, Chair Jackson will address items under the Facilities Planning Committee.
Yes, so currently we have 3 action items on the Facilities Planning Committee agenda. Mr. Bruce Janet, Executive Director of Facilities, Risk Management, and Athletics will provide that report. Mr. Janet?
Thank you, Supervisor Jackson. Campuses are requesting approval of the following consent items. The first one is I-1 from Grambling. Approval to purchase another apartment complex on 1.8 acres with an address of 280 Central Avenue in Grambling for a cost of $2.35 million plus cost of the sale. The purchase would be in accordance with terms and conditions acceptable to the board and in compliance with our UL system immovable property guidelines policy. Grambling State University currently has approximately $5 million in remaining funds from its Higher Education Relief Fund that will be used for this purchase. And it was originally designated for new student housing with an expenditure deadline of December 2026, when Grambling submitted a formal request to the U.S. Department of Education seeking approval from new construction to the acquisition of a existing apartment housing to meet the original project objectives within required federal guidelines. The U.S. Department of Education did grant approval and gave Grambling an extension until September 29th, 2028 to complete the purchase. Item I2 is from McNeese, approval to demolish the Holbrook Student Union, LERC building, the meat lab, the breeding lab, and University Post Office. All of these buildings were severely damaged by Hurricane Laura and Hurricane Delta in 2020, with the exception of Holbrook Student Union, which is being replaced with the new building, which all of you had, I think most of you had a chance to see that beautiful new building. The university has elected to not make repairs to the building and use the monies in a different manner on campus. Finally, item I3 is from UNO to allow the Friends of Hines to build the Performance Athletic Center for Hines UNO within the area currently leased to Friends of Hines by the university. Friends of Hines is a Louisiana nonprofit corporation desires to construct a new Performance Athletic Center, which will be a separate 18,500 square foot, one-story structure located on the UNO campus. Along with the gymnasium, the PAC will provide additional academic and professional development for the school. Friends of Hines has engaged an outside firm to design and construct. The ground lease that's currently in existence requires that Friends of Hines obtain written consent of the Board of Supervisors for the UL system prior to constructing any additional improvements on the leased property. Supervisor Jackson, this concludes my presentation of the consent items, and staff recommends approval. I do know our 3 campuses are here should you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Janet. And just for clarification on item I3, the UNO issue, that is in support with LSU, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Fully in support. Brandon and Queer and their attorney have been in dialogue with each other.
All right, awesome, awesome. Okay, well, thank you for the presentation. If no one requires further clarification, I would like to recommend approval for items I1 through I3. Okay, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, question by Mr. Supervisor Prasada.
Trying to understand this deal in University of New Orleans, are they asking for additional land, or is this land they already have under lease?
No, this is already on the campus. It's land they have. They just want to build a building on what they have already. And Dr. Johnson's in the audience if you have any more specific questions.
I understand this was a deal made long ago before anybody seems to know details of it. How does this help our students?
How does it help us?
Yeah,
Well, that
that's what we're
they're
here for, right?
doing a schooling and improvement, and that would remain on the property.
It's $1 a year lease for another 50 years. I don't know, it's just kind of, it just seems strange to me. I mean, in Shreveport, there's lots of charter schools, and they either rent at market rate from the school board, old schools, or they build brand new buildings that they pay for. I'm having a hard time understanding this, I really am.
Supervisor Basada, I know that there is also a timing issue with this. LSU's board would not be able to meet on this until, I believe, September. And so we have communicated with LSU, and they are in support of this. And so I think because of the timing of all of this, I would certainly want to encourage the board to consider approving it. And of course, they go to LSU next week, so they'll
Yeah,
deal with it.
I mean, yeah, they could do it next week if they wanted to. I mean, we call special meetings all the time for different things, if it's important. I don't know, is it just me, or does this seem strange to anybody else on the board? You know, it's just me. I'm going to vote for it.
You know, the transition, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, the transition of UNO to LSU is not something that happens very often. While I would agree that there's good reason to cause pause and evaluate why we need to be acting on something like this, if we have support from LSU and they're asking us to procedurally accommodate them, I guess that's a fair understanding. You know, it's the pleasure of the board to do whatever you want in any item, but by the same token, it's my appreciation that LSU's asked that this item be considered.
All I'm asking is why are they in support of it? How does this benefit our students or soon to be their students? I mean, that's the number one question we should ask on everything. Nobody seems to be able to answer that question.
Well, I think when you have a charter school located on your campus, it benefits both the charter school students and potentially, and you know, having attended a laboratory school on a university campus that I ultimately went to as a college student, I think there are certain benefits to having those schools located on your campus. So, and then when you think about student teaching sites, that your education majors would be able to walk across campus to do student teaching versus perhaps a location that might be you know, otherwise located. So I think that there are benefits to having a school, whether it's charter or lab, located physically on your university campus.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up question if I could. And it may be a better question for Brandon. We're kind of tagging on to what Barry said. Not disputing the fact that it's advantageous to the students, but I guess it is kind of odd. Why doesn't LSU just do this themselves a week from now? Is there any legal risk to us by taking this action now if something goes awry 3 years down the road?
Brandon? Question is, if we act on an item that relates to an event that's going to occur under LSU's supervision at the University of New Orleans, is it possible we could have some risk or liability if an adverse circumstance were to materialize as a result of our action?
So, under the current transfer agreement, once the transfer hands
This
off,
relates to this charter school
Right.
land.
I understand once the transfer hands off on July 1, any debt or any obligations that were existing with us at that time are now moved to LSU. Now, with respect to some legacy items, that would be different. So in this is a proposed transaction that would start taking place in the next couple of weeks following the approval. So anything that would have occurred or will occur or could occur on July 1 or after would fall back towards LSU for any issues that would come of this particular improvement that Hines is trying to put on the campus.
Just to offer a suggestion, Supervisor Basada, is it possible that it would be appropriate to build into the motion a condition that requires LSU's board meeting at its next meeting to ratify this action? Would that satisfy your concerns?
Mr. Chairman. Brandon, the lease agreement is in place now, and there's a term that's, I think, 2030 is the end of the term, correct? So we're not leasing space to the charter school. We're
No.
allowing them to make an improvement on the
Correct.
grounds that they currently occupy.
So-
And that improvement would revert to the school at the termination of the lease, correct?
So when the original Hines agreement was done, and I can't recall if this was one that I looked at originally or if it would predated me a little bit, but they asked to lease a certain amount of space with the ability to increase the footprint of their buildings over time based on enrollment at that particular school. And they were using some shared space with another charter school that's also situated on the campus as well. So I don't remember the exact boundaries of the lease agreement, but they contemplated building a new building or an athletic facility at some point into the duration of their lease. And this is them coming back saying, hey, we now have a sustained enrollment that allows us to now expend this set of funds to put this facility on the campus. And so as a guardrail to ensuring that at least what they put up was architecturally sound and did not just look like a true sore thumb on the campus, we asked for them to come back and seek approval of anything that was to be constructed to make sure that it fit with the footprint of UNO's campus. So this is them coming back asking, hey, here's our architectural design, here's what we're doing, here's how it's gonna fit in. You know, can we have the approval to move forward with the improvement?
Yeah, I'd be inclined to delay this if we were going to lease phase two, if this were the genesis of the arrangement to begin with.
Right.
But since it's already in place and it's still well within its term, this is simply an improvement on the lease phase currently.
That's correct. And so presumably the construction and what they're trying to do is gonna start, I don't know, maybe next month. But they have a turn time to complete it by for the academic year. So I think to the point of any liability or obligation, that's not gonna fall on us depending on what happens after we do this agreement in the school transfers to LSU.
Supervisor Perkins, you had questions on?
Mine deals with item number one, so I didn't know if everything was done with item three.
Yeah.
Item one, I'm excited to see that Grambling is being able to get more housing. We know that that's an issue with applications ticking up. I wanted to make sure, Mr. Janae, that I know you said $5 million they have to kind of work with, and the purchase is about 2.3 million. Do we know how much money is needed to do any kind of restoration or getting this apartment complex in the proper condition that need to be in for student living?
We had that discussion with President Lamel and Pena Moses, and what I understand is that there's really no major improvements needed, like the roofs are new, et cetera. So it doesn't take much when they get the apartments, that they're in very good shape. They did a study, et cetera. Even hired a firm to go out and look to make sure.
And will these apartments be already move-in ready, or this is something that the students are having to bring their own beds?
I think they are, and the fact that there are some students there now and resident, and that they would move out. So my appreciation is they're pretty much move-in ready.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Jackson, I have one question. On item two, McNeese's request, you said to demolish the 5 campus buildings. What's the cost of that? Is that insurance money that was held back to pay for that?
No, I think the plan is to use the deferred maintenance money, which is allowed for demolition from Act 751. And so that money's been funded to the university, and they have a choice of which projects. So my understanding is that they're going to use those funds that have been given through the legislature to them to do the demo.
It's existing funds already
Yes,
set
yes,
aside.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, it won't require any additional funds for McNeese to put up.
Interesting point. It was shared recently that McNeese is finally getting some FEMA funding from Hurricane Ida. So just hope you guys understand the long tail of recovery. Actually, not Ida, but the hurricanes that affected Lake Charles.
Okay, all right. So we have a recommendation from faculty to approve items I1 to I3. Is it the will of the board to continue I1 to I3 or separate I3 out, or what's the will of the board?
I would vote separately on 1, 2, and vote separately on 3. From what I understand, there's some disagreement on 3.
Okay, all right. So we'll have to take a motion on that. Is that correct, Chairman, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
To separate those out?
So Mr. Salim, you've moved to separate items 1, 2, and 3. Is that correct? I'll second your motion.
So 1 and 2 will be taken together and 3 separately.
Okay, all right. So do we have a motion to approve item I1 to I2?
So move.
Moved by Supervisor Perkins. Do we have a second? second by Supervisor. Yeah. All right, now do we have, approval on separately item I3 to move forward with that?
You had a motion and a second to
Yeah,
separate the
so-
items. You might want to call the vote on that.
Yeah, call the vote.
All in favor of separating
I1.
one and two
One
and
and two.
taking three separately?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And then I'll have to state my motion to have item 1 and 2 voted on for approval.
So moved.
So moved by Supervisor Stevens,
Second
second
by
by,
Perkins.
by Supervisor Perkins. All right. Next item is on 1 and 2?
Yeah.
And
All right.
we,
Can we
all in
roll
favor
call
of
one and
one
two?
and two, obviously the motion was made. Aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right. Next item is, I3. We have a motion, can we have a motion to approve I3?
I'll make the motion to approve item I3.
All right. Motion approved by Supervisor Stevens. Do we have a second?
I'll second it. Davison.
All right, we have a second by Supervisor Davison. All right, what, you want a roll call for that? Yes, we'll get a roll call on item I3.
Mr. Busada? Okay. Yes. Okay. Mr. Davison?
Yeah.
Mr. Hogan?
Yes.
Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Ms. Lampkin?
Yes.
Dr. Leatherman?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Ms. Pierre? Mr. Romero?
Yes.
Ms. Russell?
Yes.
Mr. Salim?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
It passes.
All right. Okay, so, all right, are there any other questions, comments, from the board? From the public? All right, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. All right, are there any other business to come before this committee at this time? Next items to consider is finance.
Thank you, Chair Jackson, for getting us to Baton Rouge from Lafayette through, Shreveport. Chair Hogan will address items that are included in the Finance Committee agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we embark upon the review of the Finance Committee items, I would just ask each of our board members here to please place special attention to the presentation that will be made by both Eddie and Ashley as we continue to try to remedy some of the financial challenges that we have in various universities, and we may call upon some of the presidents for some comments as well. We have 7 agenda items on the Finance Committee agenda. Mr. Eddie Mesh, Vice President for Business and Finance, and Ms. Ashley McIntyre, Assistant Vice President for Financial Reporting and Analysis, and Mr. Josh Benoit, Budget and Finance Manager, will provide the report.
Thank you, Mr. Hogan. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce our new Budget and Finance Manager, Josh Benoit. Josh joins the UL system from the Louisiana Department of Health, where he served as budget analyst. Prior to that, he worked for the Louisiana Office of Planning and Budget, gaining a valuable experience in state budgeting and fiscal policy. Josh has earned a bachelor's degree in business management from McNeese State University, a master's of public administration from Drake University. Josh is pursuing his PhD in public administration and policy at Walden University. We're excited to have Josh join our team and look forward to his expertise and perspective he will bring to the UL system. Josh, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm excited to join the UL system and be a part of such a dedicated team. I look forward to applying that experience to support the system's mission and strategic priorities. I am eager to learn and contribute wherever I can help the organization succeed. Thank you again for the opportunity. I look forward to working with all of you and getting to know the campuses and the people who make the UL system such a great organization.
Thank you, Josh.
Welcome. I did ask if he was related to Andy, but hopefully y'all get to meet, maybe y'all are cousins.
Item J1, Grambling State University's request for approval of an amendment to a lease agreement for the year 8 of the university's food service operations facilities with Sodexo Magic LLC. Grambling State University requests approval of an amendment of its food services agreement with Sodexo Magic, extending the contract for 10 years from July 1, 26 to June 30, 36, with one optional 3-year extension. Sodexo Magic will continue providing dining, retail, convenience store, and concession services while paying commissions ranging from 10% to 12% of net sales. The contract provides for $3.5 million in new capital investments and a $1 million annual impact fund contribution. The amendment revises the early termination provisions, updates financial assumptions related to meal plan participation, and modifies dining operations, meal plans, capital investment commitments, staffing provisions, and other contract terms. Item J2, Nicholls State University's request for approval to change its FY27 tuition and fee schedule in accordance with the authority granted by Act 790 of the 2024 regular legislative session. Nicholls State University continues to operate in a resource-constrained environment where enrollment-driven revenues are critical to long-term fiscal stability. To improve equity and maximize existing fee authority, Nicholls requests approval effective fall 26 to eliminate its differential tuition fee and increase its higher education fiscal stabilization fee from 8% to 10%. These changes comply with the statutory 10% 2-year cap on tuition and fee increases and are projected to generate approximately $261,000 in net annual revenue based on fall 25 numbers. The rise structure will have little to no impact on approximately 63% of students enrolled in high-cost programs, while only about 37% of students will experience higher costs. Consistent with state law, Nicholls will dedicate 5% of the additional revenue, approximately $13,000 annually, to need-based student financial aid and will notify students prior to implementation. Item J3, Nicholls State University's request for approval to amend and extend the university's existing lease agreement with Barnes & Noble College Booksellers. Nicholls is requesting approval to amend and extend its university's existing lease agreement with Barnes & Noble in order to continue the First Day Complete Equity Access Program. This program will provide undergraduate students access to all required course materials on the first day of class. Also, the program bundles costs with tuition fees, creating an average of 40 to 50% savings for students while retaining the academic freedom for faculty to choose the best materials for their courses. The student's price for the required course materials will increase from $24 per credit hour to $25 per credit hour per semester. Students will have the option to opt out of the program and secure materials on their own. The amendment would exercise the second 5-year renewal option of the lease. The renewal term will commence on August 1, 26 and will end on July 31, 2031. Item J4, Southeastern Louisiana's request for approval to divide the Leon Ford Family Endowed Chair in Regional Studies into 4 super professorships. Pursuant to the donor's wishes, Southeastern requests board approval to convert the Leon Ford Family Endowed Chair in Regional Studies into the following 4 endowed professorships. Leon Ford III Endowed Super Professorship in Southeast Louisiana Studies. Edward Brent DeFrisch Endowed Super Professorship in Biology. Nora Dale Fisher Endowed Super Professorship in Nursing. And the Phil and Ann Livingston in memory of Lacey Ann Livingston Endowed Super Professorship in Nursing. Southeastern believes the dividing of the endowed chair into 4 super professorships will enhance its ability to recruit, retain, and recognize outstanding faculty across multiple academic disciplines, thereby expanding the impact of the donor's gift throughout the university. Item J5 is University of Louisiana Lafayette's request for approval for a contract extension for professional legal services with the law office of Greg Muir, LLC. Pursuant to revised Louisiana Attorney General requirements, board approval is requested for an extension of the University of Louisiana Lafayette's contract with the law office of Greg Muir, LLC, which provides immigration legal services, including employment visa and permanent residency applications and related counsel for university administration, faculty, staff, and students. The proposed one-year extension from April 17, 26 through April 16, 27 maintains current rates and terms and is necessary to ensure continuity of service given lengthy labor certification process times and ongoing immigration matters. Total compensation, including fees and reimbursable expenses, shall not exceed $300,000 and will be billed in accordance with Policy and Procedure Memorandum 50.
Item J6, University of New Orleans requests for approval for the exemption of a supplemental lease between the board on behalf of the university and the UNO Research and Technology Foundation, Incorporated. In connection with the certain modifications to the repayment terms of the university's outstanding Series 2022 bonds, the University of New Orleans, through the UNO Research and Technology Foundation, Incorporated, financed the construction of student housing and related campus infrastructure through revenue bonds originally issued in 2006 and subsequently refinanced in 2014 and 2022 to reduce borrowing costs. The project is supported by a ground lease and facility lease, with lease payments securing the outstanding bonds. The university now seeks approval to amend certain financing documents associated with the Series 2022 bonds to revise the repayment and amortization schedule. The facilities lease will also be amended to align the university's lease payment obligations with the revised bond repayment terms.
I think it's on now. Good morning, everyone. Item J7 is the University of Louisiana Systems Report of Fiscal Year 26 third quarter financial reports. Campuses have submitted their third quarter financial reports to the system office. To provide context for today's presentation, during our February board meeting, it was reported that Louisiana Tech, UL Lafayette, and UL Monroe had met the financial warning trigger policy criteria to be designated as critical risk for the second quarter. Per policy, that designation remains in place. However, the third quarter reports submitted by these institutions reflect ongoing campus efforts to improve their financial positions. Following these submissions, and in accordance with policy, the system office has initiated a formal review process. This includes upcoming meetings with leadership from each campus to review their reported figures and discuss their year-end projections. For your reference, the specific policy triggers associated with each campus, along with their quarterly reports as prepared by the institutions, have been uploaded to Onboard for your review. I will now transition to a summary of the third quarter financial information as submitted by the campuses. Before I get into the details, you'll notice a format change in your materials. We've shifted from presenting absolute numbers to rounded millions. This adjustment was made to streamline our discussion and keep our focus on the overarching trends and key variances across our campuses. So the first report is a budget to actual comparison of operating fund revenues to the third quarter. Our general registration fees have exceeded our system-wide budget target, sitting at 101% at the end of the third quarter. This performance is primarily driven by the implementation of tuition and mandatory fee adjustments authorized under Act 790, combined with enrollment increases. Based on historical trends, we anticipate minimal collection activity in the fourth quarter. Other revenues were only at 54% of budget. This is because some universities have built-in budget authority for potential growth and year-end transfers into the operating fund if needed. Whether this authority will be required remains pending until year-end. To summarize operating fund revenues, system-wide collections through quarter 3 are up by 55.9 million compared to this time last year. Most of this is increased tuition revenue and also an increase in state appropriations. The next slide is, I'm saying slide because we usually have the presentation. So the next report is the budget to actual comparison of operating expenses. The only notable expense variance is in scholarship and fellowship expense, which routinely tracks high in the third quarter in alignment with spring enrollment. The next report is also a budget to actual comparison of operating expenses. And again, the only notable expense variance is in the other charges and interagency expense, which is where those scholarships are recorded. This variance is also routine and expected. Overall, operating expenses are 1.6 million less than they were this time last year. This, combined with the increase in operating revenues, is a positive indicator of current operational discipline across the system. However, while these quarter 3 operating metrics are encouraging, we are maintaining a cautious outlook for the fourth quarter, not only because year-end closeouts fluctuate, but also because this operational stability stands in contrast to the persistent pressures outside of these operating funds, specifically regarding our existing athletic deficit, which I will turn to next. So turning to the auxiliaries operations report, this next report consolidates the university data into a high-level view of our system-wide position. As you can see, our non-athletic auxiliaries continue to perform reliably, adding nearly 13 million to reserves this year. However, our primary challenge remains the structural deficit in athletics, which brings down reserves by 35.1 million system-wide, resulting in an overall current year deficit of 22.2 million and an ending reserve deficit of 67.2 million. The next report presents the same information but broken down by campus. As you can see, and as I noted during our last quarterly report presentation, the overall reserve deficit continues to be driven primarily by the same 3 institutions: Louisiana Tech, ULL, and ULM. The third quarter projection provides a very slight improvement from the second quarter projection, and that overall current improvement is driven by Grambling, Nichols, ULL, ULM, and UNO. It is offset by deeper projected deficits at Louisiana Tech, McNeese, Northwestern, and Southeastern. Campuses must take additional steps to align their auxiliaries and athletic budgets with available resources. The next report is titled Non-Operating Funds, Projected Year-End Reserves and Net Changes, and it provides a summary of each campus's financial activity outside of the operating fund. These are projected amounts through the end of the fiscal year 26. These funds are categorized as restricted or unrestricted. Restricted non-operating funds include statutory dedications, state, federal, and private grants, restricted student fees, and other restricted sources. Unrestricted funds include auxiliary enterprise, athletics, and other unrestricted sources. The first column shows the current year projected surplus or deficit. The second column shows the projected ending unrestricted reserves. The third shows the projected ending restricted reserves. And the last column is the total ending reserves. There are a few things to note from this table. In column 1, Grambling, Nichols, and Northwestern are projecting current year deficits. The Grambling deficit is mostly driven by athletics, and according to Nichols and Northwestern, their deficits are mostly driven by one-time expenditures not expected to be recurring. Additionally, Northwestern management has asserted that the third quarter projection does not fully reflect savings realized during the fiscal year. As a result, management expects actual June 30 results to be more favorable than those reflected in the projection. Looking at column 2, Louisiana Tech, ULL, and ULM have projected negative unrestricted reserves alongside current year surpluses in column 1. This demonstrates positive current year effort to rebuild those depleted unrestricted balances. Our office continues to engage with these campuses to monitor performance and ensure the assumptions underlying these projections remain realistic. At our February board meeting, we began presenting the day's cash on hand report that's included in your next report. As a reminder, the top table of this report shows operational liquidity, the cash that's available for daily operations without legal or donor restrictions,
while the bottom table shows a picture for total cash across the system. The top table highlights where our campuses face operational constraints. Red highlights indicate that a campus only has 15 days or less worth of cash on hand. The pink or salmon color represents 30 days or less, and the orange color represents 60 days or less. As we move forward, the system office remains committed to working with each campus to ensure financial stability and long-term sustainability. We will continue to monitor progress, provide support where needed, and keep the board informed of any significant developments. This is a report only and no action by the board is necessary.
This completes the financial agenda items, Mr. Hogan. Staff recommends approval of items J1 through J6.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Ashley. This is a lot to digest. So if I could we, is there a desire of the board to separate item 6 from items 1 through 5, consistent with how we handled the previous UNO item?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion and a second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. In regards to 1 through 5, are there other questions for the staff before we vote on 1 through 5?
I have a question on J3 about first day complete.
Okay.
Trying to get back to it. I was wondering the possibility to make this program an opt-in program instead of an opt-out. I know there's a lot of students like myself that have required textbooks, but we don't actually use them. And I fear a lot of students wouldn't necessarily read the fine print and they'd accidentally keep themselves opted in when they don't actually need those resources. And I feel like instead of opting out and opting in, that would save a lot of students from, I guess, wasting their money on products they wouldn't use.
Well, I think the program is dependent on enough students participating in the program. And if it were an opt-in program, there may be some difficulty financially implementing the program so that it would work. These types of programs are intended to save money, to reduce the cost to students overall. And these types of programs have been successful to do that. So if students overall save 40%, it's a program that has worked in the past.
Did you want more information from the campus? Is that satisfy your question?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about this program before, so I just wanted a little more clarification on that. Thank you.
And we can certainly provide you some additional information as you're onboarding to the board. We will make sure we make that a part of our presentation to you, so you can better have a line of sight to how it holistically works.
And I think I do understand the intent of your question and your example of your personally, that if you decide you don't want to be in the program and you fail to opt out, you may have an obligation you didn't want to have, and it could encumber you from a financial perspective. So I can appreciate that question, and thank you for representing our students' voice.
Any further questions or discussion? Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor to approve items 1 through 5. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we move on to item 6. Any further discussion, or is there a motion for approval of item 6? In regards to the UNO request for approval for execution of a supplemental lease. I actually would ask if Brad, would you mind addressing item 6 the same way you addressed the previous discussion about UNO?
I don't know that I see it as the same thing. This appears to be a means of stretching out the finance terms. Is that what this is? So the last matter, we had a lease agreement in place and University of New Orleans had an obligation already established, and we didn't change that materially by just allowing construction of a building. I don't know the details of this as to what the payment term changes are going to be. But this one is more significant to me than what the other one was by a lot.
Agreed. As I appreciate it, because I did ask Eddie a couple questions before, this actually lowers the payments for the first 4 or 5 years, and then it's not a balloon, but there's a series of the latter 5 years of much more elevated payment stream. So I would ask the same question, maybe back to Brandon. What is this going to do to us as a board if we move forward with this refinancing, and what obligation do we have, and what downstream liability do we have?
Morning again. So the lease is going to get extended by a year simply to facilitate the payment, the repayment. I've also invited Mr. Bressler, who is actually going to give you a little bit better breakdown of what the payment does, why we're doing this in order for the long-term project. So.
Thank you.
Good morning. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm Lee Bressler, a managing director at Raymond James in New Orleans, and I've been involved with UNO's bond issues since they had no debt back.
You may want to pull it a little closer to.
Use the other mic. That one hasn't been working.
All right, is that better? Okay, good. I'm Lee Bressler with Managing Director at Raymond James in New Orleans, and I've been involved with UNO's bond issues since they started having debt back in the 1990s. And the project was the student housing project that was originally financed in 2006. We were planning on doing it in 2005 and left for Labor Day, and didn't come back for several months after Katrina. And it was the first bond issue done in Orleans Parish since Katrina, right after Katrina in 2006. So we're very proud to be able to do that. And as was mentioned earlier, we refinanced it twice in 2014 and in 2022. And the interest rate in 2022, if you remember, was during COVID, and rates were very, very low. And so we got right around a 3% interest rate at that point in time on a private placement with JP Morgan. And the bond had a level debt service, but when you combined it with the other debt of the university, it was front loaded. It was humped because they had some wellness center debt that was maturing after the first 5 years. So we actually technically are not extending the final maturity. We're keeping that at the same date, but we're extending the average life by about a year. So same payoff date for final maturity, but a little bit slower to pay it down of about a year. And let's see. So when Norman Barnum came on at the university, he asked if we had any ideas on refinancing, and we said, look, instead of keeping it front loaded and stepping down, let's just make it level so you have cash flow savings in the first 5 years, and then it would step up, but it would step up to the same level where you are now. So it would be totally level all the way across, as opposed, so they're not taking on additional debt, they're just maintaining their debt where they would have gotten relief after those 5 years. And it's been a pretty lengthy approval process. One, having to get JP Morgan to keep the interest rate the same, even though it was not a current market interest rate. It was a very big challenge. We got a term sheet from them. We went to the LPFA as the issuer, got their approval, went to the UNO Research and Technology Foundation. They're the actual borrower. We went to the Bond Commission last week for a technical amendment. We're here today, and it's going to be on the LSU board meeting tomorrow. And from what I spoke to their general counsel this morning, there doesn't seem to be any issues. Everyone seems to think it makes sense to provide them some cash flow relief without incurring, without raising the debt level after that. So I know this is a lot of information. Jones Walker was able to come up with an approval process where we got through all these approvals all before June 30th, which is the transfer date, instead of trying to flip-flop the approvals from different entities. So it was very, very challenging to do that as well. But we got the bank on board. We're able to get all the other approvals except for today and tomorrow. And then we'll be ready to close transaction, change up the amortization schedule at that point, and they will start seeing some cash flow relief, immediately. Was that too fast?
Will the total debt service, the totality of it, principal and interest, when you get to 2036, will that be higher than under the existing?
So from a present value standpoint, present value back to today, it's about a wash, but then there's transaction costs. So the transaction cost would be a negative. And I guess the overall debt service is, I think, a few $100,000 more, because of paying it that extra, slowing down the payment of the principal amortization.
So if the LSU board is approving this tomorrow, right? Or
They're, yes, I mean, they're blessing it tomorrow, I guess, we just.
Is it on their agenda?
What's that? It's on
Is
the
it on
agenda.
their agenda?
It's on the agenda.
It was on their agenda.
So I don't know if, I guess they're approving it, but they're blessing it, which, they're asking you all to proceed, I guess would be the correct language.
And understanding the obligation lies with us because of the alignment currently. I think this whole transition process of UNO transferring to LSU is going very smoothly. I want to thank all parties that have been involved because it's been fairly uneventful. And it certainly was our goal and objective to assure that the intent of the legislature was accomplished without interruption of this university's successes. Given the point, I think that all have made, and considering the fact that LSU will be entertaining this tomorrow, but requires action from us, I do think it would be fair and appropriate at this time to build in a condition of our approval that requires LSU's board's approval for this to be effective. Is that a fair resolution for all that satisfy any concerns?
It does for me.
Trying to think what that motion looks like. I'll make a motion to approve item 6, subject to approval by the LSU Board of Supervisors at tomorrow's meeting on June the 26th.
I'll second that. Go ahead. Keith.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next, as we consider, or we think about the financial review that Ashley gave us, are there any questions or is there any requests for any of the university presidents to come forward and talk about their plans or progress thereof?
I don't know that you'll get it voluntarily.
Well, I guess I'm asking us if we would like to have any of them come forward.
I believe a short version would be helpful.
Yep. Why don't we start with ULM if we could? I think Dr. Castile has made tremendous progress. I'd like to hear her story quickly. We'll use city council rules, 3 minutes or less.
Chairman Hogan, I would like, I don't know what she's going to get into, but I would like to see the slide back up the first slide dealing with the athletics that had all the universities as they all approach, because I may have some questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, Chairman, President Gallo, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about kind of the last year. So I've been on the job for a little over a year. So it started June 9th. And we started immediately in how we're going to stabilize the budget. So budget stabilization was the immediate first steps. And I really want to give Dr. Graves and his team a shout out and a thank you for the work that they've done. So one of the first things that we did is we started at the top level, looking at our vice presidents and the overhead that we had, made a quick decision to be able to reduce 5 vice presidents to 2 vice presidents within a month. From there, we also implemented a pretty aggressive strategy within our allocations to the colleges in which we were going to hold back 40% at the beginning of the year. We know that in terms of tuition, enrollment, kind of August, September, it's when normally universities start to allocate their resources. We withheld 40% to make sure that when we were at the end of the year, we didn't run out of money. We've also embarked on a very, very aggressive assessment throughout the entire campus. So we looked at academics, so we call them academic previews. We also looked at basically 4 KPIs: recruitment, retention, graduation, and job placement. We also did the same with every single administrative function and unit and program support function on the campus. So that might include financial aid, housing, groundskeepers, maintenance department, etc. The third thing that we did was athletics. We did a complete review and assessment of athletics with KPIs as well. So budget, of course, being part of that. Really, really pleased at the progress. We've seen some turnarounds. We're not out of the woods yet. We're still making progress. As aggressive as we were last year, this year. One thing that I do want to mention is the opportunity for partnership. We're looking at how we make sure that we're working within campuses, within the UL system, but also other partners outside. So I do want to give a shout out to Dr. Colaru, President Colaru, and his team. We'll be working closely with them on dental hygiene, and we're actually meeting July 7th, Dr. Colaru and I, to be able to look at how we can partner better when it comes to dental hygiene. We have a successful program. We want to work with them while they're working towards accreditation and maybe offer a satellite campus. I'll stop there.
Any questions for Dr. Castile? Supervisor Perkins?
I would offer a big thank you for the leadership both of you provided over the course of the past 12 months. I know it was very difficult. I know it took a lot of determination. I want to thank our interim president, Nick Bruno, for the time he spent helping develop a roadmap that I think was helpful to Dr. Castillo in her first year, but it took you getting it done. And I can't thank you enough for the leadership you provided. And I think we all recognize that you have more to come. And ultimately, when you have student growth, you'll have prosperity and success.
One thing I'd like to do is Dr. McCann is in the room, as well as also one of our deans of pharmacy. We've also tackled that. You'll be meeting her later, but I really want to recognize Dr. McCann for her leadership and the support of the deans. This was not just something that happened at the executive leadership team level. This happened throughout the entire campus. We made some hard decisions, of course, but very, very proud of our team and our leadership and our entire campus for what they've done and how they've rallied around us.
Yeah, while we're focused on discussing finance, I think the qualitative aspect of what you all are doing and the vision you bring in to drive student experience and success and help students to go out and have a successful career has followed in track, and I think is going to equally show prosperity in the future.
So, very much.
I have a quick question for him. I agree. Thank you for your work you've done. You mentioned athletics, and I'm looking at the numbers, and it seems like you're optimistic as the direction where you're going. When do you anticipate, or do you have any kind of anticipation date when we will start seeing the sun rise a little bit in there, and what does that look like? You know, what should we anticipate here as board members in the next year or 2 years?
Yeah, that's a really hard question. You know, one of the things that we're looking at, and I know the Sunbelt schools have endorsed a piece of legislation called the SCORE Act, which looks at NIL and rev share. That's a big piece. Not sure what the life of that piece of legislation looks like. That's a big piece. Cutting expenses is also a big piece. We can't cut our way into prosperity. All coaches want to win. I want to win. I'm competitive. What that looks like, I mean, I want to take away that deficit. I mean, that's the thing that we have to start with. So all of our savings right now are going towards reducing that deficit. That's it. In terms of a goal and what I want to see in terms of, and I'll tell you, we are the lowest budget of the Sunbelt. However, I just got 3 Sunbelt Conference championships. You know, the thing that we're trying to look at is kind of this balance and this alignment. So yes, we're extremely competitive. What does it look like? Tick down away at that deficit as soon as possible. We have a new athletic director. He's been very, very aggressive. Him and I are on the same page. Our athletic director actually has dual reporting authority. So he reports to me and he reports to Dr. Graves. And I told him, I said, these are the resources that we're getting. Whatever is needed, you got to go out and
Thank you, Dr. Castillo.
I'll step away.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
That's the same word, Parrish, 3 minutes.
Dr. Calaru, 2 minutes. Would you like to discuss your plan briefly?
Happy at Parish too.
We have a wager about your ability to stick to 2 minutes.
Putting on the wager will lose. I apologize in advance. But there may be an old fashioned for giving me an extra minute. But as you're aware, thank you again for the opportunity to update on the finances of the university. As you're aware, last year was a tough year for the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. But in November, when you appointed me, and again in March, when I came in front of you as a candidate and you appointed me on the 1st of March, I told you that we'll address this problem this year.
and will not kick the can down the road. To refresh your memory, you may recall that we entered the fiscal year with a $50 million situation. $25 million in unpaid bills for FY 25 that we had to pay in FY 26. Again, we had to pay those bills again in FY 26 and a $25 million structural deficit. So it was a $75 million, but $50 million because we had to pay the bills twice, $75 million overall. And I told you that we will address the issue head on, and we did. Mr. Chairman, Dr. Gallo and members of the board, I'm pleased to report to you that the university has addressed its immediate financial crisis. We expect to close the fiscal year FY 26 for the first time in a decade in a world that we had forgotten quite a bit. Surplus. We entered FY 26 with a $3.6 million surplus as opposed to what we had as a deficit year after year, going back all the way to FY 17. But that's something that is extraordinary in terms of a turnaround. And I have a group of our university leaders that are here. And if I could ask you to stand and be recognized, these are the folks that have led the university in these extraordinary times of challenge and have, in the spirit of shared sacrifice, have led through extraordinarily challenging times to bring the university to where we are. And I couldn't be more proud of the team. I know we talk about South Louisiana's resilience and grit, and these leaders and our entire campus community that have inflicted a lot of pain on themselves have been responsible for this turnaround, and I couldn't be more proud. This success belongs to the University of Louisiana and its extraordinary faculty, staff, and students. But I'm also grateful to each of you. You made extraordinary investment of time, talent, and care throughout this journey. Many of my UL system residents have reached out on multiple occasions to just check in to see how we were doing and what it is that they could do to help. This family has helped us navigate this journey, and I'm extraordinarily grateful. Also, the legislature and the governor have invested in higher education, but also into the University of Louisiana at Lafayette in particular through this legislative cycle. And as you know, that investment did not go into FY 26. It will go into strengthening the university in FY 27. But while I'm reporting progress and success, our journey is far from over. As we look at FY 27, while this turnaround has been remarkable, we have issues that we have to confront. Because based on our very conservative budget estimates, we enter into the fiscal year FY 27 with $297 million that we think we will generate, but approximately $323 million that we think we will spend. That's a $26 million delta in being able to balance the budget. I'm presenting those numbers with transparency, but I also believe these are absolute worst case scenario numbers because they expect absolutely no growth. But as you know, my focus has been since the time I began, if we change nothing, that is what it will be. But as you know, since the time I came in, when you appointed me as interim and not an interim on March 1, I have done a lot of changes and we'll continue to pursue those changes. We'll continue to move forward with aggressiveness and speed and responsiveness to address this gap that we will expect. And I expect that number to go down in a significant way. Again, our goal is to end the next fiscal year in a balanced budget situation, but position that budget not only for balance, but for growth and momentum, because that is what we see at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. That is what our community deserves, our state deserves. And so by the end of next fiscal year, I'm hopeful, and the entire team will work in making sure that we balance our budget and position the university for growth, because that is what you need from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. And we'll position the state of Louisiana to be successful based on the work of a top-tier research university that's part of your family of universities. And we'll do that working with each of you and our UL system leaders and our UL system co-presidents. So with that, I conclude my report. But I do want to give a shout out to my entire team and say, go Cajuns.
Thank you, Dr. Calleru. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was it 2 minutes by any chance?
Not really, but good effort.
But thank you.
Chairman, can we ask Dr. Henderson if he can come forward? Sure. If he's here. Oh, there he is.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President. Louisiana Tech, of course, is biggest problem has been liquidity. It started post Katrina thinking about UNO. It started post-COVID with an enrollment decline and after the expansion of expense of the COVID relief dollars. The enrollment decline has stopped. We're now at our highest revenue producing enrollment in the institution's 132-year history. Our budgetary numbers are looking much improved over the last year. The strategic management of Lisa Bradley, who took over as our CFO a little over a year ago. We currently have a hiring freeze in place that saved about $3 million annualized time. But that course is going to take time to pay off. We expect to see a significant increase in liquidity at the end of this fiscal year. Even more significant increase at the end of next fiscal year. Our growth trajectory continues to show great promise. One of the biggest budgetary challenges we have is in athletics, like most. That's one of the reasons why we made the move to Sunbelt Conference. We're expecting to save at least $1.2 million in athletics travel expenses to generate significant more revenue in terms of ticket revenue. Of course, economic impact on the city and on the institution is going to be considerable. Our athletics department is projecting actually a surplus, with the exception of scholarship dollars, but surplus by fiscal year 2030. The scholarship dollars is important because that's not really an expense; it's a cost, and it's an accounting anomaly for athletics. But in terms of the operations as a whole, to operate in the surplus by 2030. We're very bullish about the future for an institution. We're growing in non-traditional revenues. We have multiple economic development activities that are generating revenue for the institution. Certainly, we have been very successful at the federal level. This year alone, we'll see $38 million coming into the institution and public-private partnerships associated with those grants, and projecting that to increase significantly over the next fiscal year as well. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a question. Good morning, Dr. Henderson, or good afternoon now, Dr. Henderson. Dealing with the athletics piece, I was listening to Dr. Castile, and she had kind of mentioned the NIL, and I know y'all are in a very similar market in North Louisiana. What role are you exploring, or are you exploring any role of NIL as it relates to dealing with the financial concerns with athletics?
Yes, sir. That's a great question. NIL is an important part of that when it comes to compensation for student athletes. It's really the revenue share is the bigger challenge for athletic departments. We have a pretty significant computer science program at Louisiana Tech. And so our athletics, in partnership with them, we developed what's called Victory GM, which is, we think, the nation's leading roster management software that adds at least a level of intelligence into those decisions. And when it comes to compensating athletes, no one has figured this out completely across the country. You're seeing some of the larger programs that the Northeast and tens of millions of dollars in deficits. There is going to be a right sizing around that because it's a reckoning that every institution is having to deal with. And I think you're going to see that play out over the next 2 years. What we've done at Louisiana Tech is make sure we're using the smartest use of those available dollars. Our athletic director, Ryan Ivey, has just finished year 2 with us. He has come in with a real business mindset and established these targets for our athletics. And again, he's the one to set that target for fiscal solvency by 2030.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Dr. Henderson? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Those are the 3 institutions that were the most, I guess, distressed based on the triggers that Eddie and Ashley referenced. You did have one other comment about Northwestern, and that the management had assertions that they would expect substantial, I guess, improvements in third quarter. Could we hear what those were exactly? They felt like the reports and the reality were a little bit different. Is someone here from Northwestern that can speak to that, Rodney or President Genevieve?
I would imagine that good morning, everyone, glad to be here.
I have with me the CFO of Northwestern State University, Mr. Rodney Wilson, who is here to answer any of the specific questions that I may not cover or may miss. I would imagine that the 13.4 figure that you're looking at there would raise some eyebrows, and I certainly understand that. It raised my eyebrows as well. But it's important to take that figure and understand that that comes from an actual budget. It's a budget figure based on what we intend to spend during the year. We may do things a little bit different with our actual budget. And what we intended to spend this year, I would like to take that 13.4 and just address it specifically. First of all, in that budget, in that 13.4, you have approximately $8 million in personal savings that we have not spent and will not spend on personnel. Okay. So the 13 is, that figure is rather misleading because we had budgeted some significant part of that for personnel. We have been able to tighten our belt. We have become stronger and better, and we've looked at all the departments to make sure that we have the right people working in the right places without any excess. And as a result of that, we did not spend $8 million of that $13 million. So that reduces it to $5 million, roughly. Of that $5 million, I would also like to point out that that does not take into account the fact the money that we have just recently received and will receive at the end of this month that deals with that amounts to roughly $2 million, and that would be the endowments that we will draw. That deals with the Pell draw that we have. It also deals with foundation scholarships. None of that is reflected in the 13.4. As you reduce it down from 13 to 8 with the personnel that was not spent, and you reduce it down with the monies that coming in from the endowments, from the Pell and the foundation, it reduces it down to 3. Out of that 3, we I made the discretionary decision to spend $1.7 million on an athletic track. I think we needed the track because we have run conference the last 3 years, track, and our track coach is a conference coach of the year. And it was the track was in a deplorable condition. There were in the tartan surface, there were concrete spaces in there where a person could trip. They would get shin splints when they would run. And I made the decision to spend $1.7 million, which we certainly have to do so to make it better. So, and that's a one-time expense. It's not going to be every year. It's a one-time expense. So that reduces it well below the $3 million. I mean, the 13.4 down from 8 from the personnel, 2 from the monies that are coming in from Pell, the monies coming in from foundations and grants and endowments. And then you take that 1.7 million out, you're down to a little over 1. And I am excited about the fact that perhaps the 26-27 year will bring us to a 0 budget and perhaps a surplus. And I wanted to have the opportunity, I thank you for the opportunity to be able to explain that so that you would get the true figure. I'll also end by saying we got $53 million in the bank and we have 0 bonded indebtedness. We're doing pretty good and alive and well at Northwestern.
Thank you. I have a couple questions. Anybody else have questions before I start? So you referenced the 13.4 deficit. That's the non-operating funds that he's referencing, right, Ashley? So these corrections or these adjustments that you referenced, some of those sounded like operating items. Am I misunderstanding that? The personnel components in particular? Are those all true non-operating savings?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. The budgets that we adopt and we report third quarter, our report was tied to our ledger. We didn't make any off ledger adjustments. So as we have a budget in our ERP system, it presumes that you're going to spend all of your budgeted personnel expenses. We have a vacancy report that was run at month end for the month end of May that shows the president said nearly $8 million in personnel vacancies, and it's attrition that we've earned and realized through the year, but our adopted budget in our ledger would presume that you spend all those dollars. I understand after working and speaking to system staff last week when this first, was questioned. And I even, spoke to a supervisor or two, that the other universities, and it's just a matter of recognizing attrition earlier on. And so you do mention that, some of that personnel would probably be in your operating fund, but your operating fund also receives money coming in and money going out. And so even though a portion of that attrition, roughly 2 or 2.5 million, may be in your operating fund, it lessens the operating fund's dependence
Got it.
on those other funds.
Good, thank you. Good clarification. Appreciate that. Any other questions for Northwestern? All right, would anyone like to hear from any of the other representatives of the other universities? Thank you both. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I believe, since we've already voted on all actions, that I don't think we have any other actions to take unless there are any other questions or comments from the board or any comments from the public.
Thank you, Ron. That concludes the business of the Finance Committee at this time. On legislation, I'll ask Dr. Gallo, I think in the interest of time.
Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, I will submit a written report on the recap of the legislative session if that's okay with the board. Okay, we will do that. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Chair Salim will address Personnel Committee meeting items at this time.
We have 8 items on the Personnel Committee agenda for consideration. Dr. Caprice Ayu will now present those items. Ms. Ayu.
Thank you, Mr. Salim. Good afternoon, Chair Romero, President Gallo, and board members. Item L1, Grambling State University's request for approval to appoint Mr. Edwin Barry Pearson as Vice President for Finance, effective April 15th, 2026. Item L2, Louisiana Tech University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Jamie Newman as Dean of the College of Applied and Natural Sciences, effective July 1st, 2026. McNeese State University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Jan Robichaux as Dean of the Burton College of Education, effective June 1st, 2026. Item L4, McNeese State University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Srinivasan Ambadipati as Dean of the College of Engineering and Science, effective June 1st, 2026. Item L5, Southeastern Louisiana University's request for approval to appoint Dr. Mitchell Croat as Dean of the College of Science and Technology, effective August 1st, 2026. Item L6, University of Louisiana at Lafayette's request for approval to appoint Dr. Jeffrey Stewart as Interim Vice President for Advancement and Strategy, effective July 1st, 2026. Item L7, University of Louisiana Monroe's request for approval to appoint Dr. Gina Kraft as Dean of the College of Pharmacy, effective April 20th, 2026. Item L8, this last item is personnel actions, consist of campus level personnel actions that require board approval but do not require individual presentation before the board, as do items L1 through L7. These actions were included and on board for your review, have been evaluated by system staff, and are recommended for approval. These are all the items for consideration, Mr. Salima.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and Mr. President Board, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people here that are recommended, and I would ask that we give them the opportunity to speak, but ask that it be limited to 3 minutes since we have so many folks. So Grambling University, Mr. Pearson, would you like to address?
You want to call a vote on them, Supervisor Salim?
What's that?
Maybe we could vote on them first.
I don't think we need to vote, do we? I mean, if we do. We do need, okay. May I have a motion? The second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Grambling University, would you like to address the board?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce our CFO and VP of Finance candidate, Barry Pearson. Excited to present him for consideration before the board. Barry brings a wealth of expertise in finance and accounting and understands the HBCU ecosystem. As a graduate of Florida A&M, as well as a Master of Science in Accounting from the University of Virginia, a CPA, and has spent his career at publicly traded companies, including the media giant Paramount. So we're excited to extend our brand reputation and our financial analytics with Mr. Pearson.
Dr. Lamel, thank you so much for the warm introduction. To President and CEO, Dr. Rick Gallo, to the chair, Mr. Romero, and to the hosts of the board, I look forward to your partnership. I'd also like to share my appreciation to President Lamel again. Thank you for consideration of my candidacy, confidence in my abilities, and empowerment to bring my unique skill set to Grambling. My vision for GSU Finance centers on 3 strategic pillars: sustain Grambling's core financial strengths through disciplined budgeting and transparent processes, strengthen GSU's revenue foundation by partnering across campus on enrollment, athletics, auxiliaries, and engaging in revenue expansion, and scale our capabilities by modernizing systems where appropriate, developing the team, and positioning finance as a strategic thought partner across the university. I don't take this privilege lightly of serving in this role, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm energized to work with this entire board and system staff as we partner to move Grambling, the UL system, and higher education forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Henderson? Welcome, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I would like to introduce Dr. Jamie Newman, who is now officially the Dean of the College of Applied and Natural Sciences at Louisiana Tech, following an extensive search that brought very impressive national and international candidates to Ruston. Dr. Newman has been at Louisiana Tech since 2013, initially serving in the role of assistant professor, and has moved through the tenure track and promotion to be a professor in the School of Biological Sciences. She has also served as associate dean for graduate studies and research and director of the School of Biological Sciences. She is an alumnus of the UL Systems Management and Leadership Institute, and she is the co-founder and director of the VISTA program at Louisiana Tech, the Visual Integration of Science through Art, which is an interdisciplinary program that I think most of you have had some exposure to, and we're very proud of, obviously. Dr. Newman brings many dozens of research publications, presentations, funded research proposals, and so forth to this role, and we are very proud to present her to you today. I would also like to add that she is the president-elect for the Louisiana Academy of Sciences and an advocate for women in STEM. And I present to you Dr. Jamie Newman.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas, and thank you to all of you and all of you. There are a lot of people in this room who have supported me over the last 13 years of my career, and a big thank you to my family that I dragged here today to perhaps your longest board meeting. I'm not sure, but I very much, they don't always know what they're signing up for, but thank you all. Excited.
Chair Romero, President Gallo, members of the board, it's our pleasure to come up and introduce 2 new campus leaders. Dr. Buckles will make the formal introductions. I just want to quickly say how at McNeese, we pride ourselves on really building leadership from within. And these 2 examples that you have coming before you here in a second are 2 individuals that have been on our campus for some time and have really proven themselves to be able to elevate to the level of being a dean on our campus. I also want to mention that one of the 2 is an alumnus of the Management and Leadership Institute, and the second was slated to be a participant in the coming year, but we know that's been slightly delayed, so we look forward for her to have that opportunity in the future. So I turn it over to Dr. Buckles for those introductions.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And Chair Romero, President Gallo, Supervisor Salim, and the board, we just thank you for this opportunity to present these candidates.
Dr. Rope. Let me just real quickly about our process is that both of these positions supervise, lead very large units with a diverse array of programs and people. So it's important for us to have a large committee that represented the different constituencies throughout those colleges to include not only faculty, but also staff and students on that. And in each case independently, both of those committees, luckily for me too, had overwhelmingly recommended the two candidates we've brought forth today, Dr. Robichaud and Dr. Serena Vasan Amitaputi. And we affectionately refer to Dr. Serena Vasan as Vasan. So anyway, so they both bring extensive experience, both in what I'll call industry in case of Dr. Robichaud, extensive experience in the K through 12 space. Both have extensive assessment, accreditation experience, grant writing experience, and both take a collaborative approach to their work. So that also stood out among our search committees too. So I invite first Dr. Robichaud. And I also would like to, come on up, Dr. Robichaud. Dr. Robichaud, too, is also joined by her family to your left out in the back there. Dr. Robichaud has, over her career, I've witnessed just natural gifted leadership capabilities. And after meeting her parents, I know where it comes from. Her dad served as a coach and principal in the Crowley area, and her mother as an elementary school principal.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be considered for the position of Dean for the Burton College of Education at McNeese State University. It is an honor to be here today. The Burton College of Education, as Dr. Buckles mentioned, houses two different groups, basically. We have the H.C. Drew School of Kinesiology and the Department of Education Professions. But together, they have an important mission, and that is to prepare educators, leaders, and health professionals. And all of these groups actually make an impact in our communities. So serving as the interim dean over this past semester has been both very rewarding, and it's also been inspiring for me. It has strengthened my commitment to our faculty, our school, and our students. As Dr. Buckles mentioned, I was blessed to grow up in a home where both of my parents dedicated over 30 years to public education. They instilled in us a love of learning and the belief that education has the power to change lives. I would not be here before you today if it were not for their unwavering support, the encouragement from my colleagues, the leadership and confidence shown by Dr. Buckles and Dr. Nicholas, and the guidance from my mentor, Dr. Daboval. I would be honored to have the opportunity to continue building on the strong foundation that we have in place by supporting our faculty, our staff, strengthening our partnerships, and maintaining our focus on student success. And again, thank you for your consideration.
And Dr. Vasan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm deeply honored to accept the board to consider my application for Dean of College of Engineering and Sciences, and also support from Dr. Buckles and Dr. Nicholas in this journey of going through this process. And looking forward to serve the College of Engineering and Sciences, which has 5 departments: engineering and computer science, mathematical sciences, biology, chemistry and physics, and agricultural sciences. And all of these 5 disciplines or majors have a regional impact, and would like to continue to see how McNeese can play a role in terms of excelling in those majors and providing workforce development for this region. Thank you for giving this opportunity, and looking forward to work with you all. Thank you.
Dr. Wainwright, I think you asked for the next meeting to present your person. Okay, thank you. All right, University of Lafayette, please.
This should take 2 minutes. Chairman Romero, President Gallo, Supervisor Salim, and the board members of the Board of Supervisors. I'm thrilled, honored personally. It's a privilege for me to introduce to you a longtime researcher, faculty member on our campus, and a respected leader in our community, Dr. Jeff Stewart, in his role as interim Vice President for Advancement and Strategy. Jeff has unofficially served in this role, sprinting with me since day one when you appointed me on November 13 as interim president. And now that we have taken enough of a moment to pause long enough, I thought it was time for us to bring him to the board for his interim appointment in this particular role, and I'll turn it over to him.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, Board of Supervisors. Thank you for the opportunity. This is an honor of a lifetime. I've been at UL for 23 years, but I first got to this university when I was about 5 years old. Thanks to the GI Bill, my parents moved into married housing, so this is really special. It's really important. But the moment that we're in right now really calls for us to do some pretty dynamic things. And President Kolarou has laid out a Vision 2035 for our university, which is really challenging. And as part of that, we're going to have to really look for innovative ways to generate revenue for our university that maybe we haven't seen before. Do things a little bit different than we've done before. So in this new role, looking at advancement and looking at the parts traditionally in advancement, but also looking at economic development and looking at strategy for the university, really see that there's some things that we can build on. As you know, our university has a lot of research with private industry, building deeper relationships with those industry partners, bringing them closer to the university, creating new opportunities for us is there for the taking. But throughout this role, I'm very excited to work with our other vice presidents as a team. We've seen this over the past eight months, really coming together as a team, not in silos, but looking across the board. From a strategy standpoint, economic development standpoint, marketing standpoint, fundraising standpoint, all of the above. It's going to take all of us pulling in the same direction. So I'm grateful for this opportunity. Look forward to serve.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment. Congratulations, Dr. Stewart. I certainly would say it's an honor to support your appointment here. I was fortunate to have you as a student, and I know that you've brought some great things here. I may be an exception, but
Good afternoon, Chair Romero, President Gallo, and supervisors. We're very excited to be here this afternoon. Unfortunately, Dr. Castile had to step out, headed to Ireland, sorry. So I'm here to present our next dean for the College of Pharmacy. We appreciate very much your support of our selection of Dr. Kraft as that next dean, who represents not only the first female dean for the College of Pharmacy at ULM, but also the best candidate out of the entire search that we did. It was very aggressive. It was very assertive. It was very intentional in terms of what we were looking for to run that College of Pharmacy. You understand for ULM that the College of Pharmacy is a very critical piece to the entire institution as well as to the state. So the selection of that dean was a very, very important decision for us. We conducted that search, and from that, we selected Dean Kraft. I want to let you know that she served as interim prior to her selection as dean for the University of Louisiana Monroe College of Pharmacy. During that time, she helped us stabilize the budget. She has helped grow enrollment in the pharmacy program. She has established many collaborations with external constituents, especially as related to food as medicine and initiatives like that. And she has established a foundation for growing our research in that college. So we are very, very excited to welcome Dean Gina Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, President Gallo, and members of the board, thank you. It's truly an honor to be presented to you for approval as Dean of the University of Louisiana Monroe College of Pharmacy. I'm deeply grateful for the confidence that President Castile, Provost McCann, and the university have placed in me. For 70 years, ULM's College of Pharmacy has carried a proud tradition of educating pharmacists who serve the people of Louisiana. As the state's only publicly supported College of Pharmacy, we have educated approximately 75% of the practicing pharmacists in Louisiana today. We are also home to a toxicology program that was the first of its kind in the South and remains one of only 6 in the nation. As a Louisiana native and a proud ULM graduate, this appointment is especially meaningful to me. I have spent nearly 30 years serving this university, and ULM has shaped my professional life in every way. I'm honored to now represent a College of Pharmacy that means so much to me, and I'm proud to give back to the state that has given so much to me. I look forward to working with our faculty, staff, students, alumni, university leadership, and the board as we continue strengthening pharmacy education, advancing health, and serving communities across Louisiana. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Kraft. I know that ULM is very capable of producing pharmacists. You're responsible for 3 out of 4 pharmacists that serve the people in the state of Louisiana. And I know your leadership was identified through a very talented group of search committee members. And I applaud their efforts for participating with Dr. Castile. And I think the future looks very bright at ULM. All the best. Took us 70 years to get a great leader there. So hopefully we see some good things.
Thank you for the presentation. I think we are really privileged on the board to have such a fantastic group of people to come before us today. And if no one requires further clarification, I would like to recommend approval of items L1 through L7. May I have a motion and a second?
We're all good. You handled it.
already did. Okay. All right. Are there any questions or comments from the public or the board? All in favors?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. Are there any other business to come before the committee at this time?
Thank you, Supervisor Salim. A lot of big progress today. At this time, I'd ask President Gallo to continue with your report this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Campus and system personnel actions were made available in onboard for your review. Staff has reviewed all requests and recommends approval. Do we have any questions? If not, Mr. Chairman, we need a motion and a second to approve those.
So
We have a motion by Supervisor Salim, second by Supervisor Jackson. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. As we all know, the University of New Orleans will rejoin the LSU system on July 1st as required by state law. While this transition marks the end of one chapter, it also begins a new one. We wish the University of New Orleans continued success and look forward to seeing the institution thrive in the years ahead. We, of course, would like to thank and congratulate Dr. Kathy Johnson on her leadership as 8th president of the University of New Orleans. Dr. Johnson, I'd like to invite you to come down and share any remarks you may have, and we would also like to make a presentation.
President Gallo, Chair Romero, members of the board, I will try not to get emotional because this moment is truly bittersweet. Almost 3 years ago, I sat before you filled with joy and excitement about the work ahead. And if I knew what was going to happen, I want you to know I would have done exactly the same thing. I've learned so much from my time at the University of New Orleans and my time being part of this system. I am so grateful to each of you for your support, for your guidance. Members of my teams, Tiffany Souffle, Daryl Kruger, Edwin Littlehoff was on our team for a while as well and did amazing work. I have learned so much from each of them. It has helped me to be hopefully a little bit more resilient, even more student-centered, and I will be cheering for this system, for this state, and for that university for as long as I can, just from up the river a bit. So thank you for giving me a moment to say thank you, and I truly, truly appreciate all that you've done to help me.
Stay put, don't leave.
You all don't mind joining at the front of the dais, we'll take a picture with Kathy for recognition.
Today also marks the final meeting for interim president, Dr. Kedrick Nicholas from McNeese, and I'd invite him down to share a few words. And we certainly want to thank him for stepping up and providing leadership to McNeese during this interim period. Of course, he's not leaving. He will return back to the executive leadership team. And Dr. Nicholas, we just want to thank you for your leadership in this period.
Thank you, President Gallo. Members of the board, I want to thank you so much for your faith and trust in me to serve as McNeese's interim president for the past 7.5 months. Understanding that these opportunities do not grow on trees, I felt I needed to come up here to give you my most sincere gratitude for affording me this chance to grow my professional portfolio. I also want to thank the fellow ULS presidents for welcoming me with open arms and for the strengthened relationships I have with each of them because of this experience. I will say this, though, I would not miss having to come to board meetings 2 or 3 hours early for President's Council meetings. Next, I want to thank the students, faculty, staff, and community partners and fellow executive leaders of McNeese for always making me feel appreciated, valued, and worthy of the interim president designation. And last but not least, I want to thank my wife Tabitha and my sons Kyle and Camden for their patience and understanding, as the last 7 months have required me to have additional responsibilities, increasing time away from home. When you all allowed me to lead McNeese in the interim, I promised you that my intent would be to make the McNeese president position job a turnkey experience for our next campus's leader. I'm proud to say that the university is in such a position. To name some indicators of this stance, we are currently experiencing the first enrollment growth for the current summer term for the first time since pre-COVID, up 2%. We are trending to have a 5th consecutive semester of fall-spring enrollment growth, right now standing at 4+%. Our fall to spring continuing student retention rate this past spring grew almost 10% year over year. Our first-time freshman retention rate is trending at 2% growth year over year. We opened and are now operating 2 new state-of-the-art facilities in our Richard Student Union, which you all experienced back in February, and the LNG Center of Excellence that we opened in April. And probably most important to you all, McNeese's overall financial portfolio remains healthy as we took the last 7 months to increase efficiencies, reduce operational costs, and further refine institutional structure that allows us to approach the end of fiscal year 26 with a balanced budget and healthy restricted and unrestricted reserves. This is not an exhaustive list, but some things that stand out that I am sincerely proud of because of what our McNeese community accomplished during my interim presidency. So with that, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. My hard work and dedication to McNeese and this system are not done. I am honored to have the opportunity to work alongside incoming President Reese and look forward to continuing to build relationships among the UL system board members and sister institution colleagues. God bless. Go Pokes.
We would also like to thank this year's Management and Leadership Institute class for their presentation this morning. Over the years, the program has helped develop leaders across our universities and strengthen collaboration throughout the system. As higher education continues to evolve, we will pause the next cohort to assess future leadership development needs and explore how best to align the program with the emerging opportunities and challenges facing our institutions. For sake of time, I would ask you all to stick around after we conclude the meeting and we will present your certificates. And of course, before moving on, I would also like to recognize and thank Dr. Caprice Ayub, whose last day with the University of Louisiana system is today. We thank Dr. Ayub for her years of service to the system and for her contributions to leadership development and professional growth opportunities across our universities. We wish you well in your future endeavors. There she is. Thank you, Dr. Ayub. Okay, a couple of more things and I'm done. We would like to recognize some birthdays today. Our own Dr. Claire Norris from the University of Louisiana system, and Marcus Kennedy, who's part of the MNLI group, are both celebrating. We won't sing, but happy birthday to the both of you. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're stepping to the next side of okay. As we go to conclude matters, I did want to take an opportunity and a bit of privilege just in reflecting on and honoring some individuals that really worked hard to address and remedy a circumstance that had occurred for 4 consecutive years on the UL Lafayette campus in the SPFAC area and research area. You know, as you recall, we had a very disturbing event where we received an audit that memorialized for 4 consecutive years failures within the financial side of research. Clearly, that was a very alarming experience for all of us. The remedy sits in the back of this room, and I want to ask Dr. Collaroo to take a moment to deliver on a promise that if we were able to bring the corrections, while I think some of the findings carried forward because of timing, but know that the actual steps to bring remedy have been brought forward. But I'll keep him to the 2-minute time limit as well.
Promise. This is the last time. Third time may be the charm. A year ago, when I inherited this office, it was in an extraordinary state of disrepair. And as Chairman Romero alluded, we had 4 consecutive years of audit failures, and it seemed like there was no end in sight. And we knew we needed to turn a corner. We knew that business as usual was no longer able to be done or pursued, and we knew we needed to double down. But we didn't know how, because 4 consecutive years of failure of any audit represents a completely broken down systemic failure. And I remember, Supervisor Jackson, you made a comment about culture. You said in that meeting, in that conversation that led to a series of transitions at the university, that what was broken in that unit, you surmised, was culture. And sir, let me tell you, you are 100% right. We took care of business, we changed what needed to be changed, And this little mighty team that is sitting behind me, using the same resources they had available to them 4 years prior and for the past 4 years, turned that ship around. I couldn't be more proud. I came to you on multiple occasions with a sense of pride on behalf of what we have accomplished as a university when you appointed me as a leader of my alma mater. But today my heart brims with pride as I look to these folks here, Shamada Paul, Brooke Little, Brig Guillory, Joe DeRigo, and many others who couldn't be here because they are working with one of our private sector partners who's on campus doing an audit. But I'll tell you this little engine that could did and delivered with a reset of culture, with a reset of leadership. And Chairman Romero, I couldn't be more proud and grateful to you because you delivered today on a promise you made approximately a year ago that you will recognize them. So I'm immensely proud of the work that these young men and women do and their colleagues do on behalf of our university. Now, the legislative audits that we failed 4 years in a row, they have to care of 2 of the 4. Otherwise, we would have had 5 audit failures for 5 years in a row. So they've taken care of 2 of the 4 audit failures. We have still work to do because by the time I inherited this office as Vice President for Research about a year ago, we were already at the end of the fiscal year because May 29 of 2025 that I inherited the office. So we had about 30 days to fix what needed to be fixed. Obviously, we could go back in time to take care of how the contracts were set up on the front end, but they were day and night with limited resources, no new resources to turn this around. And I'm promising you that the next year, there will not be another 5th year of audit failures. So on behalf of my entire university, I want to give a hand to Asia. Thank you one last time for the opportunity, hopefully 2 minutes.
Thank all of you. Job well done. We do have one item that will require board attention, and it's respective to an authorization for a FEA-related matter, and President Gallo and
my apologies,
Councilor
Mr.
Queer.
Chairman and members of the board, I got ahead of myself. This is a resolution that we need passed, and Mr. DeQueer can briefly talk to that item.
So, real quickly, this is an authorization to have the Attorney General submit a letter to the FAA to allow for the use of drones in some of our educational programming. In particular, the request was coming from Northwestern. We broadened the request from the Attorney General's office to allow future use of this resolution for any other institution that needs to have an increased flight deck is what it is for operation of drones between the recreational space and what the FAA regulates.
So we would need a resolution authorizing the Attorney General's office to submit a public declaration letter to the Federal Aviation Administration to public aircraft operations.
Is this for instruction purposes or security purposes or all of the above?
All right, not too soon. This particular request, I think, actually came out of maybe the ag kind of section at Northwestern. They were flying and doing some geo surveying and some surveying stuff. To your point, that's why there was a note for executive session. The latter part we could talk about there. I don't think we need it today. This is really to get theirs off because they're trying to do something with the certificate this fall. But the short answer to your question is yes. Law enforcement can use drones and they have to request this public letter declaration in order to use it for those purposes.
And this resolution checks that box as well, or is it a different resolution?
It could, and it does. So yes, it is broadened enough to do that. But I think what you're asking the university would need to make sure that the system has some line of sight that you're going to deploy that type of technology.
Got it.
Which gets into the security nature of why we don't really discuss it.
Correct. Got it. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
A motion by. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Any questions, rather? All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you again, Dr. Gallo and Brandon, for that explanation. As we go forward into the summer, just please be reminded that for our future awards should all be loaded and process will be contingent upon your consideration and approval. I think it's a great program that has served students well and allowing them to continue under the guidance of the funding that we are authorizing the universities to invest in students for this particular purpose. You can certainly see the progress and achievement that has occurred as we remain committed to supporting students of merit and continue to excel in their advancement through the academic programs that we offer on our campuses. Our next regular meeting is going to be held here on August 27th. So know that we have a little bit of a break. I hope y'all enjoy the summer and the 4th. Immediately after we adjourn, we're going to be moving to the 6th floor in room 6242 to take part in board development program that's going to discuss the Regents funding formula. It'll provide some insight into this complex method of funding the state's higher education. Elizabeth Bentley Smith, Regents Deputy Commissioner for Finance and Administration, will lead the discussion and lunch will be provided at that time. Could I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Emily, second by Liz. All in favor? Motion passes. We stand